Greetings and hello, everybody. Welcome back to the middle of the order. Another TOP for you guys. We're getting close to the end. Stay with me here because these are the cream of the crop and the best teams coming at you this week. If you missed the first episode today, Tampa Bay Rays, go and check that out. But this one is all about your defending National League champions, the Arizona Diamondbacks. What a season they had last year, and a very impressive ending to that. They had some struggles. Let's be honest. We know they struggled last year at times, but in the end, it came together when it mattered the most. And that's what baseball is all about, is not only the 162 long stretch of games that you have to get through, but also making it to playoffs and fighting your way to the top. Last year, they finished 84 and 78, just 3 games above 500. They were 14th in runs for, 20th in ERA, and 20th in runs against. And despite those numbers, they still finished 2nd in the NL West, 6th in the NL overall, and 13th in MLB. They made the playoffs. They were the 6th seed. They got in there in the last 2 days of the season, and they swept the NL champion Brewers at home. In the wildcard series, they swept them at the Brewers' home. They then moved into a crazy sweep of the Dodgers in the NLD as Game 3, back-to-back to 4 home runs in the inning, pretty much. I'm pretty sure it was back-to-back off of Lance Lynn. That is still crazy to me. Then they swept the Dodgers. They swept their NL West division champion Dodgers. And then they had their toughest series yet. The Philadelphia Phillies went to Game 7, which they took at the bank. They win that series 4-3. They head to the World Series to face the Texas Rangers, a mere 4 wins away from their second World Series title in their franchise's history. And they lose in 5 games to the Rangers. A tough series, a tough Game 1. But we got to learn a lot of these guys, so we kind of know what to expect entering 2024. They will have the 29th pick in this year's draft, but also the 31st pick, thanks to Corbin Carroll winning Rookie of the Year, who we'll definitely be talking about a little bit more later on. They added, or should I say brought back, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. return, signs a nice deal with the team there. Eduardo Rodriguez, the big deal that they made. They paid a nice price for him to be part of that rotation. They traded for Eugenio Suarez. They signed Jock Peterson and Randall Grichuk. And a couple of non-roster invitee guys, Tucker Barnhart, Kevin Newman, and Elvis Andrus very recently. But I don't think we'll be seeing much of Andrus getting up there in age. They lost a couple guys, but not much to free agency. Sebi Zavala and Carlos Vargas, they sent over to Seattle for that Suarez trade. Evan Longoria, the veteran presence in that ball and in that roster, in that clubhouse, he's gone. Tommy Pham is gone. Dominic Fletcher and Zach Davies all no longer with the team. But we're talking about a very good-looking 2024 Diamondbacks team are very similar to last year, and the same can be said for next year even as well. The rotation is as follows. Zach Gallen, ace, potential Cy Young winner one day. He's just so consistently good. Merrill Kelly, number 2. Then the guy that paid the big bucks for, Eduardo Rodriguez, he goes from being the ace of the Tigers to being the middle guy in the Diamondbacks rotation. Brandon Pfaadt made a name for himself in the playoffs last year. He's number 4 now, the young kid there. And then Ryan Nelson, another one of their young kids, rounds out that rotation. The bullpen, I'll be honest with you, if it wasn't for last year's successful playoff run, I don't know how many of these guys I would have known. Paul Sewald is a guy I would have known. Love him very much. Definitely is a huge part going forward into 2024. Kevin Ginkel and Ryan Thompson, these 3 together before the Rangers series, they were unhittable in the postseason. These 3 guys single-handedly made themselves a name for me, or at least Kevin Ginkel and Ryan Thompson. Not the only guys though. Joe Mantiply, Andrew Salfrank, and Miguel Castro also part of that bullpen that, on paper, is a little shaky, but when we see them in person, we saw them in the World Series and in the playoffs in general, they looked good together. So we'll see what they can get if Ryan Thompson and Kevin Kinkle can continue to impress. But I'll tell you what is impressive, that lineup. It is good. I love this lineup. Leading things off, the right fielder, the rookie of the year, the new face of the franchise, Corbin Carroll. Love this kid right now. He is a star. Ketel Marte batting second, playing second. Gabriel Moreno, another one of their young, fun kids. Catcher bats third. Christian Walker, the first baseman, bats fourth. Jock Peterson, DH, batting fifth. Eugenio Suarez, the third baseman, batting sixth. Alec Thomas, center fielder, batting seventh. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., the left fielder, bats eighth. This is criminally low for me from Fangraphs here, despite considering the season he had last year. And then Geraldo Perdomo rounds off that lineup. He is the shortstop, batting ninth. The bench has one of their prospect kids, Blaze Alexander. And let me tell you, the balls to name your kid Blaze, love that. Probably not his actual name, but who knows. Tucker Barnhart, non-roster invitee, the backup catcher listed by Fangraphs as of now. Jace Peterson and Randall Grichuk rounds up the 26-man roster. Right now, both Grichuk and Kevin Ginkle are dealing with some slight injuries. Part of spring training stuff, some elbow soreness and some ankle, small procedure from Grichuk. But both should be ready for the 26-man for the opening day roster. And then Dre Jamison, part of the bullpen, he had Tommy John at the end of last year. He is expected to miss 2024, so he will not be a part of the D-backs team. Taking a look now at the free agents for next year. They have a couple guys here, Jock Peterson and Randall Grichuk, both guys they signed this offseason. They have mutual options for both of them, so everyone has a choice there. Eugenio Suarez, got traded for, has a club option, as well as Merrill Kelly for $7 million. I'd expect the D-backs to take that one if he performs well this year. Miguel Castro, Jace Peterson, Peterson. Jace Peterson, Jock Peterson. I gotta get that in my head. The two ones here that are the bigger ones are, ending their arbitration. Christian Walker and Paul Seawold both are free agents as well. So those two you have to ask some questions for if you are Arizona. Let's talk about this team, because there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about, fun things to mention here. Let's start with the face of the franchise, the star, the rookie of the year, the all-star. How many great things can you say about this guy, including his hair, Corbin Carroll? He was amazing last year. We had a small glimpse of him in 2022 where he looked great. There was a lot of optimism, signs an 8-year deal extension at the start of the season, and then has an amazing season. 155 games for the 22-year-old, 151 hits, 10 triples from the kid, 25 home runs. He stole 54 bases, 285 batting average, and 868 OPS. Finished 5th in MVP voting to go along with that Rookie of the Year win. A very impressive season. He was great. I mean, I got to see this guy in person last year. I got to watch him, throughout the playoffs. Face the franchise, kind of turned this team around, because let's be honest, the Diamondbacks entering 2023 were very skeptical. We didn't know what Carroll was going to bring to the table. We didn't know what some of these guys were going to perform. And, like I said, they had rocky times throughout the season, but they pulled it together. Now we're talking about a Diamondbacks team that there's aspirations. They've done it before. And if you think they're scared of the Dodgers, they swept the Dodgers 3-0. They're thinking, add Ohtani, add Yamamoto, add whoever, we're still going to win. That's the Diamondbacks mentality here, because they've done it already, and the team is very similar to last year. So there's nothing stopping them. When I think of the Diamondbacks last year, I mean, it's kind of on the same lines of the Nationals in 2019. Nationals hit rock bottom in the end of May. They were 19 and something, and they turned it on for the rest of the season. They barely slipped into the wild card game, beat the Brewers, beat the Braves, beat the Cardinals, make it to the World Series, and beat the Astros. The only difference was Arizona didn't win against the Rangers, but there was a lot of similar things. Rookie player, Juan Soto for the Nationals, Corbin Carroll for these D-backs. veteran star in the postseason. Howie Kendrick for the Nationals. Tommy Pham was a big piece in this Diamondbacks run. Of course, he is no longer with the team, but I mean, Randall Grichuk, a little replacement there. And yeah, I mean, the Diamondbacks, they keep bringing people up. They have young kids on the way here. Drew Jones, Tommy Troy, Jordan Lawler. We got to see a little bit of last year as well. He could probably easily replace Perdomo at some point this year. So Perdomo's got some work to do if he wants to hold on to his job for a little bit more. They've even got guys like Emmanuel Rivera, who we saw a little bit last year. Pavin Smith and Jake McCarthy. These are both guys that are in AAA right now. Albert Amora Jr., non-roster invitee guy. Tommy Henry, a pitcher we got to see a little bit of. Like, there's a lot of options here for the Diamondbacks that, yeah, it's exciting to be a Diamondbacks fan. And the big thing last year as well that they did, or at least in the offseason, was trading for Gabriel Moreno and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. They traded away Dalton Varsho and got these two pieces, and these two were huge, not only in the regular season, but also in the postseason. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. put up probably his best numbers as a major leaguer. He had some great years with the Blue Jays, including 2019 and 2020, but of course, he was hurt, so those numbers are boosted otherwise. But I mean, last year, 24 home runs, a career high for him, a 261 batting average, a 772 OPS. It was the first time he was an all-star, played 145 games. He was great. Fangraphs has him batting 8th. That blows my mind. Gabriel Moreno. This is the catcher of the future for these D-backs. What a year he had. He had a small stint in 2020 with the Blue Jays, 25 games, and he looked good. Last year, the Diamondbacks looked great. 111 games, 97 hits, 7 home runs, 50 ribbies, a 284 batting average, 747 OPS. He won a Gold Glove, and you have to think he was also hurt for a long time, so those numbers could have definitely been better had he been healthy for the whole season. He had a great postseason run. Just a lot to be, grateful for with this kid, because he's just kind of fallen into their lap and is going to be a huge piece for the Diamondbacks team going forward. Ketel Marte, the was face of the franchise of these D-backs, switch hitter, had some days with the Mariners where he just wasn't, prospect, or was he going to pan out, was he not? Comes over, is great with the Diamondbacks in his first couple of years. 2019 specifically, third year, was an all-star, finished 4th in MVP voting. Then they try to move him to center field. The move doesn't really work out. They bring him back to second base, and he's been himself again. 157 hits last year, 150 games, 275 batting average, and 844 OPS. A huge part in this Diamondbacks team. And like all these players are just guys and guys that will do it. That yeah, when we talked about the team stats at the beginning, 14th in runs for, 20th in ERA and runs against, that's not a playoff team. That's not an NL champion team. But in the moment, these guys worked together. They really did come out. And like Alec Thomas, I love this kid, and he's not even one of the star potential pieces. Like, who knows what's going to happen to him this year. The rotation, Zach Gallen. I talked about this guy. I told him in my predictions episode, my second ever episode, I'm pretty sure. I'm like, he could easily be the Cy Young winner. I went with Sandy Alcantara. Both were wrong. Doesn't matter. Zach Gallen is a great pitcher and has been so from 2019 onward. Every year, this guy's putting up great numbers, minus 2021. But of course, yeah, everyone has their hiccup years. 2023. He was an all-star for the first time in his career, finished 3rd in the Cy Young voting. It wasn't his first time in top 10 Cy Young voting. Did that in 2020, did that in 2022. He had a complete game shutout, his second of his career. Made 34 starts. That's impressive. A 3.47 ERA, 17 wins, 9 losses, 220 strikeouts in 210 innings. He was great. Zach Gallen is a star. Merrill Kelly was great. Brandon Pfaadt, we talked about this kid a little bit. I mean, his postseason run was spectacular, and his season was kind of mediocre. That bullpen, Kevin Ginkel, I learned that name because of this amazing pitching performance in the postseason. Ryan Thompson, same thing. Paul Sewald, I've talked about this guy plenty of times. In my opinion, the downfall of the Seattle Mariners last year was the rise of the Arizona Diamondbacks. He was great with Arizona. He came over, got 13 saves and 86 percentage. Last year as a whole with Seattle and Arizona, made 34 saves, near 90%, 80 strikeouts, a 3.12 ERA. Just a great guy to have in the back end of your bullpen. He mixes his pitches really well, I find. Like, they are so lucky to have this guy in the back of the bullpen, in my opinion. Close to, if not already, a top 10 closer in the game. There's a lot of great closers right now, if we go through the list here. But I mean, off the top of my head, would I put him in the top 10? I would say yeah, maybe ninth. There are a lot of great closing pitchers in the game, but I think Paul Sewell's one of them right now. Like, he's been good for the Mariners the last 2-3 years. Came over and brought Arizona to the World Series, or helped them bring to the World Series. Like, there's a lot to be happy about. And like I said, the kids are coming. Blaze Alexander, who knows what he's going to be. Jordan Lawler, like there's a lot to be happy with. And I only can assume Corbin Carroll's going to have an even better year. Christian Walker, who we didn't really get to touch upon, like, he's going to have another level to his game. He's a Gold Glover star first baseman. Like, let me pull up his numbers real quick here, because Christian Walker, is like the third best player on the team almost, and I nearly forgot him. Last year was great. Two-time Gold Glover. His defense is what shines, what brings him like what people expect from Christian Walker. He's low-key been one of the better first basemen, in the game the last 2 years. 830 OPS, a 258 batting average, 33 home runs. The last 2 years, he has 69 home runs. That's good for a first baseman. It's not Pete Alonso, home run power, but he's got the power. He plays great Gold Glove defense. That's what you want from your first baseman. I can't. I'm glazing them too much here, because yeah, let's be honest. Also, last year was a huge, surprise. It helped that the Cardinals were way worse than people thought, and the Mets were way worse than people thought, and the Padres were way worse than people thought. Those three teams sucking so much really elevated some of the teams like the Reds and the Diamondbacks and the Marlins that, weren't on people's radars in 2023, 2023. But now are in 2024. Like, the Reds are gunning for the NL Central title. The Marlins, who knows what they can do, and the Diamondbacks. Like, I'm in on the Diamondbacks right now. I think they're going to have another great year here. I think the expectations are a little bit more higher for them now, but I think they can pull it off. They've been to the World Series. Like, and they didn't lose much pieces. Like, the roster is very similar to the team that just did that. So now another year under the belt, another year, working and going for this gold now. You bring in Eduardo Rodriguez, things are clicking right now for Arizona. I think the only thing standing in their way really right now would be the Dodgers. I think, if it wasn't for Ohtani and Yamamoto coming over, you could really be making a case for Arizona to win the NL West. And I mean, you still technically can. Things could fall off the ship for the Dodgers real quickly, but obviously, it's the Dodgers' division to lose, but in playoffs, anything can happen, and we saw it last year. I would be the first to admit that I did not think the Arizona Diamondbacks last year were going to make it to the World Series and be your NL champions, and yet we now live in that reality. So, as a whole, Arizona, I expect a big year from you guys. I expect a lot of you guys to take step forwards. Zach Gallen, is this your year to win the Cy Young? Brandon Pfaadt, let's see a good regular season out of you and not a struggle bus until the postseason type thing. Carroll, let's see step forward. Moreno, let's see step forward. Thomas, Suarez, let's see less strikeouts. As a whole, I am excited for the Arizona Diamondbacks in 2024. The FanDuel over-under has done them dirty at an 83.5. Listen, I know the Dodgers are going to win 100 some odd games, but there's no way Arizona's number should be that low from being the NL champions. Basically, you're saying, are they going to have a similar season to the last year than they did this year? Because they finished at 84 and 78, and the over would be essentially having the exact same season. I think that even if they have a bad season, it'll still be better than last year. Like, the ceiling for Arizona this year is 84 wins. Like, I don't see them getting worse this year than they were last year. They made so many like better improvements, and now you have another second year of Corbin Carroll and Moreno. Yeah, the over is so easy. This is free money at this point. If you think the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to be under 83 wins, I'd be surprised. Let's just say that. Maybe I'm incorrect about that, but I think Arizona's going to have a great year, and I think 84 wins is super obtainable. So give me the over on the Diamondbacks. But that is going to do it for us here today. Everybody, thank you so much for listening to our TOP for your D-backs. If you agree with my thoughts, let me know, because I am pretty strong right now, I feel like, on the Arizona Diamondbacks. From going through this team and doing all the research here, I feel confident that they will have another strong year and another postseason run. So, yeah, let me know. Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much, and I will see you tomorrow.